And we're live. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Cassie. So excited to be here. I feel like it's been forever since I've done a webinar. So I'm going to give everybody just a couple more minutes. I'm a little bit early, but we are doing the Paleo webinar tonight. So hang tight, and we'll get started here in a couple of minutes. I see some people have joined us. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes, but hi, say where you're at. I can only see like how many people are watching. So if you want to say hey, I can see it in the comments. And I'd love for you to say hi. If you're joining us from somewhere and I don't really know you, you can say where you're from. But we're going to talk about paleo tonight for the next about hour or so. I'm so excited. I feel like it's literally been forever. I think it's been a month since we did the last one, but it just feels like a really long time. So I'm excited to be with you guys today. It's going to be awesome. If you've watched the past paleo webinar, if this is your first one, I did change a few things. So you can always feel free to go back and look at the other paleo webinar that I did, I think at the beginning of the year. So it's been we've gone through all of the cycles of different things. So we're kind of back at the beginning, and I'm excited. Change it up a little bit, learn some more things about paleo. So I'm excited. Hi, Paige. See you tomorrow. Okay, let's get started. We got a couple people on here, and as people start, they can come on in. So if you're joining us, please say hi. I love when people engage, and I will honor you. I do it every single time. I am giving away a $50 gift card to Whole Foods for you to have immediately after this webinar. I put everybody's name in that says a comment, even if it's just a hi, a hey, like anything, amen, awesome, or questions that you might have, you can write them right in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. But I love engagement. I love actually talking to people and seeing people. So I just want to honor you for doing that. And I know it can be a little bit weird. Like, what do I say? Just say hi or anything, and I will enter your name in to win a raffle for that $50 gift card to Whole Foods. The more that you comment, the more that you have chances to win, because your name goes in every single time and you have more chances that way. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but I just put your name into a random name generator. So let me share my screen here real quick. I think I do it like that. Like that. Yep. Okay. And we are off. And also, Nikki is behind the scenes. So there she is. She said, hey, hey. I never want to not have a chance to honor our team. And so Nikki is my sidekick for the day. So she'll be behind the scenes answering any questions that you have, putting up links in the comment section for any of the freebies and the resources that I'll give you. I'll talk about 2 supplements when it comes to paleo. And she'll put some links in there, show you what that looks like, and help be a guide and a source. So thank you, Nikki. You're awesome. Hi, Jeff. Okay, so let's get started. So back up. There we go. As a doctor, as a person, just in general, when it comes to taking care of my health, when I really look around at society currently, I'm really quite certain that we're doing something very wrong when it comes to our nutrition. If you look at the current levels of depression, if you look at the current levels of obesity, if you look at the current levels and like the epidemics of just lifestyle-induced diseases, it's not just adults, but it's in like kids, like the increase in learning disorders, the like destruction of family units, like it has become increasingly evident that the way that we're taking care of ourselves and interact with that is not the actual plan that God has designed our bodies for. Like to create this life where you have health, to create this life where you have a peace of mind, where your entire body, mind, soul, and spirit is healthy. Like when I look around in society, and I know more than ever right now, and I don't want to talk about any of those things, like let's just put Corona aside, all the things aside, like if we just look around at our health, our current health situation, it's not good. Like, and it's just continuing to get worse. But I think that this has all unearthed something inside of us where we realize that now more than ever, like we have to think about our health and take it seriously. Because like, think about it, like for real. Like if you look around or go to the store or see things like, we just went to the Dominican, we were off for an entire week and it was awesome and it was great. And I looked around and I was like, you know, the actual people of the Dominican Republic themselves, like none of them are really overweight. There's like a few, but the people from America that are coming to visit there and vacation there, like it was crazy what I saw. And I just look around and I'm not like, come on, people, get it together. I'm just like, my heart hurts for that. And when you think about like all the diets that we have in the world, like all the gyms that we have in the world, like all of the health coaches that we have in the world, all the supplements that we have in the world, like it should actually look a different way. But I know that when it comes to like diet plans and nutrition, like you think about paleo, like paleo is not just another low carb diet, just so that you know, so I'm not going to talk a lot about like that. It's not a fad thing, but like when you look around, it's like what diet is the newest craze this week? Like, oh, someone else is doing keto, or like you think about all these things, like you name it, there's a book that's selling about it. There's people buying it. There's a hope for this magic bullet that's going to help people lose weight and to get healthier, like in an instant. Like, but how can every single one of those diets be right? Like, and more like to that point is like, is anybody right when it comes to like how we're supposed to eat? So you think about it, it's like, it gets confusing. And so sometimes it can make, it just like stops us in our tracks. We're like, what are we actually supposed to eat? And when you think about it, like for me, for the last 12 years, like I've been working on answering those exact questions for myself and for my patients and for just the world and whoever wants to listen, because my life, like the reason that it is the way that it is, like I am a chiropractor, that I have such a passion for it, is because like I started this journey struggling for my health to come back. I was struggling for myself to actually learn what health is. I was struggling to lose weight. I was struggling to find the energy levels that I needed and I knew that I could have. Like I was struggling so much when it came to my health. And this was me. Really, it feels like not too long ago was that me. But I was 21 in that picture. I'm 34 today. So it was about, 13 years ago. And it wasn't until like I got to a really rock bottom. I stopped weighing myself. Like it was like clothes were just basically t-shirts, sweatpants, hoodies. And my thyroid was shutting down. My energy levels were shutting down. Like I just kept getting bigger. My self-esteem was in the trash. Like I drank a lot too on top of it. Like I didn't eat well because I was like, I tried lean cuisines. Like I tried starving myself. I tried all the supplements that guaranteed that I was going to lose weight. And I remember those days. And I don't know if you're there. I don't know your story on the other side of the screen. I don't know if you're there, but sometimes we have to get there in order to start to see. But the key word in my whole life has been, it's a journey. And I've had to learn to embrace the fact that this is a health journey that I'm on, and I'm going to be on it, and I'm not going to stop. because I'm worth it and I matter. And so fast forward to now, this is a little bit of a couple years ago that I took this picture, but my life has completely changed and transformed. And not because I was perfect at it, not because I know all the answers to when it comes to nutrition or exercise or detoxing or even chiropractic. Like, I don't know all those answers, but I'm on a journey to making sure that I find out those answers for myself. And when I was going back through this, and like some of you know, like I've done keto, intermittent fasting, juicing, like all of those things, like I've done all of them, plant-based, blood type dieting, I've done all the webinars on them. But when I was going through this again, the majority of Dr. Michael and I's diet is like a paleo diet. So when I talk about the thing that I found really the most that kind of like encompasses how Dr. Michael and I eat, it really is very close to paleo. So what I'm going to speak to you on today is like really how we do it, but we have to start at the foundation. So when I can tell you all the how-tos, we can go right into it, and some of you have already like been like, will you just tell me how to do this and like give me a meal plan and I'll just do it. Well, yes, I can, and I absolutely will. But the one thing that I learned about nutrition is that there has to be a foundation that is laid. And if the foundation isn't there, you're going to do really good for 30 days. And on the 31st day, you're going to just throw it in the trash. And then you're going to gain the weight back again. And then you're going to start a new diet. And then you're going to do this. And then you're going to do that. If there's a foundation inside of you that where you think from and are known from, then all of that stuff, it doesn't matter what diet you're a part of, it's going to last long term. And that's my goal for you. Not for this just to be a 30-day thing that you do and then it just goes right into the crap. Okay? So this is what I want you to think about. Like, your body itself is a temple, right? It is the place that you live. You live inside of your body. It's your home. This picture right here, this is not Dr. Michael and I's home, but I would actually consider this type of home like our dream home. Like, I love the amount of windows. I love like the wood, the different, like then it's white and then it's black and then it's all these different colors. I love the architectural aspect of this house right here. So I don't know if anybody else has a dream home or if you live in your dream home. I love that. Or you built it from the ground up. Like, I would love for that to be one day what happens for Dr. Michael and I, that we are able to build the house of our dreams from the ground up. And so let's say that you're in that same boat or you have that dream too. And you hire this contractor. And this contractor comes like super highly recommended. Like, his rates are very reasonable. Like, he's affordable and he comes recommended. So let's do it. So you hire the guy. You're excited about your house. Like, there's blueprints of exactly what it's going to look like. Like, there's plans in place, all of that stuff. You sign it. You're ready. Here we go. However, like, it starts to be built. And we have a patient, husband and wife, Gabby and Matt, and they are building a house right now. And I've seen on Instagram them walking through their house or like seeing where the walls are being put up and all of that. So let's say that starts to happen. You go to your house, like you start to see everything. But then what starts to happen is that you actually start to see like some cracks in the foundation, and you start noticing that he is using, like the contractor that you hired, is the quality that you thought was going to be built from this house from the ground up. He starts to substitute like cheaper alternatives. And he says, it's really just to cut corners. Like, I really want to get this house built for you. It's going to be faster if we just do it this way. But then you start to notice, like, this foundation, it's not poured right. Then you start to notice that there's cracks before the framing even starts to go up. It turns out that the ground wasn't actually properly leveled on the building site before they even began the process. Then the framing goes up and then the walls go up, and now they're starting to thin out the paint so that the paint can last longer instead of making it a good quality paint. You start to see that the framing is going up sideways and crooked, and then their wiring now needs to be redone. Like, you start to see like the appliances are not getting put in properly. You get what I'm saying? Like, the end product of the house that was of your dreams is no longer coming to what you thought. Like, the potential that is inside of there that was on the blueprints is no longer there. And you think about, it's like, what went wrong? Like, the answer to this question is very obvious when it comes to that. Poor materials were substituted for quality ones. expert craftsmanship that you paid for was sacrificed for poor workmanship. It's like garbage in, garbage out. That's what happens. Guess what is absolutely no different than that? Your body. Correct. Like what goes into actually building a healthy body, mind, spirit, and soul is determined, like for that to actually be built and to be stable is what goes inside of the temple that God gave you. The only one, like you get just one. You can tear down a house and rebuild it, but you only have one body that we get to live in. But many of the health problems today are a direct result of what we do or do not eat inside of our bodies. Before we still get into the nitty gritty, guys, we have to do this. This is why it hasn't solidified and stayed into your life so far. Any type of successful change when it comes to nutrition first requires, though, that you have a realistic assessment of just where you are. For some of you, your house, your body has been crumbling for a while. Like you might even be ashamed of where you're at sitting watching this. You might be so ashamed of how far you've let your body go. You might even just feel like, I hope this is it, because if this isn't it, I'm done and I'm not going to try anything again. It's okay. It's okay. And we just have to start there. Just like a house, the blueprints would mean nothing, but they mean something. It's where do we need to start? It's okay. But what's going to get you from where you are to where you want to be is your why. Like, why are you doing this? Why would you change your nutrition? Why would you say no to unhealthy food and say yes to healthy food? Like, why would you just change everything in the way that you think? Like, why are you doing this? And it can't just be, I just want to feel better, I just want to lose weight. That's part of it. But why do you want to do all of those things? Do you have a family? Do you want a future family? Do you want to be able to run with your kids, your grandkids? Like, do you want to be a part of that? Is that why you're going to do this? If you hold on to those things, it's a lot easier to do every single thing that I'm going to teach you, all the useful information that we're about to go through. If you know why you're doing it, I think that's why I have been so successful these last 12 years when it comes to my not only weight loss journey, but reversing a thyroid disease, like having more energy than I've ever had before. Like the reason is because I know why I'm doing this. And when you know that, you're going to be successful. That doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean that you're going to fail. It doesn't mean that you're going to have hiccups. It just means that you have less of them and that you get up when you fall. And when you fail, it doesn't take you out. The other part is what's holding you back. I met with a patient, Kayla, on Monday, and she's been doing awesome. She's changed to plant-based. She's lost 14 pounds. Like, she's doing awesome. She's like decreased her heartburn that's been happening inside of her body. She's now working out. She got a Y membership. So she has all these things happening. And I was like meeting with her, and I was like, I didn't really have much to say except for like, keep doing what you're doing. And then we left and did all the things, and then she got adjusted, and I was there, and I was like, I know what we need to talk about. We need to talk about what would hold you back, like what would actually derail you right now from all the good things that you have been doing for the last 60 days, not just 30 days, the last 60 days. She has not had pasta, like she is doing awesome. But I'm like, what would keep you from doing this? And she's like, accountability. So like for you, it's like, what is holding you back? It might be that you don't have an accountability partner. Like nobody's there to help you. And that's okay. Like that's good things to know about yourself. But for some others, it might be like money might hold you back. Time might hold you back. Your past failures might hold you back. Your family might hold you back. You might just be lazy. It might also be like, is it really that important? Am I really that important to really change anything? But you need to know that about yourself. So like anything that is worth changing in your life that you want to do, first of all, it's ultimately up to your decision. But if you answer these two questions about those things, you are going to be successful. I don't know when, I don't know how long it'll take, but if you keep these at the forefront, you will be successful when it comes to your health. Okay? Now, when we go through this, there's two important things that you need to know when we go through the rest of this webinar. Some of you are going to be completely overwhelmed because some of you, this is your very first webinar that you're watching on nutrition, and you might not even know what I mean when I say like avocado oil. You're like, what? I've never bought that in my life. Or I'm going to talk about maybe bone marrow, and you're going to be like, what is she saying to me? I don't understand. And so the first thing I want you to do is, one, avoid being completely overwhelmed by that. I'm going to say some things that you might not have any clue, that you've never bought in or seen in a grocery store, and I'm going to let you know it is okay. Don't bite off more than you can chew. So what happens with some of you is that you're going to hear all of this stuff that you're going to have to change. Some of you are going to become so overwhelmed, but you're going to smile and be like, such a great webinar, Dr. Cassie. And you're going to smile, but you're completely overwhelmed. And that usually leads to failure. You feel so overwhelmed that you do nothing. The other part of that, the second thing that I want you to watch out for, is that you become so over-motivated. So you're like, yes, great, this is awesome. I'm going to take all of my pantry out. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to buy all these new things, and I'm going to do this cold turkey, and I'm going to change all things at one time. I'm going to let you know that also leads to failure frequently. And so what I want you to do, how do you do these next next half hour or so with me? You're going to write some things down. If you aren't already taking notes, write some things down, take some notes, and then you're going to go back through and you're going to be like, this is where I'm going to start and this is where I'm going to start. Know that when you're sticking to something brand new, it's difficult and sometimes nearly impossible for people to start. Otherwise, you would have already done it. Otherwise, our society would look completely different. Would you agree? So with that being said, you're going to make a plan. At the very end of all of this, I'm going to go through the 4 ways that you can stick to this. So stay until the end, so then that way I'll give you the 4 ways of how you can make sure that this is successful for you once you get all of the information that you need about paleo. Game? Okay, you ready? Here we go. So how does the paleo lifestyle actually work? Like, what does this word mean? Where did it come from? So paleo is short for Paleolithic. It's also known as the caveman diet. Now, I love books and resources. If you know anything about me, except two of our patients, they have this ginormous library that they told me about today. They have like 3,000 books in it and 1,000 books, something like that. Or they had to get rid of a lot, so it went from like 3,000 to 1,000. And I was like, I need to get my book game up. But Dr. Michael knows I buy a lot of books. But I bought this book. It's called, oh, this is difficult sometimes. The Paleo Diet. It has a different cover on it, but I don't like when those like things are on the book, so I just take them all the way off. The ones that are just on there for no reason, in my opinion. But this book right here is by Loren Cordain. So he is like one of the developers of the paleo diet. I love this book. I think it's really great. And there's tons of recipes in the back. I would suggest getting that if you want a resource from like the how did this start and where the paleo is, and not just a recipe book, which you can find tons on Amazon. But this is not just another low carb diet. I'll say it again. This is not just another low carb diet. But what happens is that the agricultural revolution, so if you don't know what that means, that is when we started to develop agricultural as a monetary thing. So that was also when we started adopting cereals and grains into our diet as like a staple food. And so when that happened, a lot of the Paleolithic, also known as like hunter and gatherers, the way that they ate and their style of living was gone once we adopted this agricultural revolution. So the paleo diet itself, it is the one and only diet that ideally fits our genetic makeup. So just about like 500 years ago, and for 2.5 million years before that, every human on earth ate paleo. Crazy, right? Like, it is the diet that's ideally suited for our genetic makeup. So I didn't design this diet, neither did Loren Cordain or Rob Wolf or the CrossFitters. Like, nature did. Nature created this diet. It's been built into our actual genes. So the science behind this. So there's this doctor, Dr. S. Boyd Eaton of Emory University in Atlanta. In 1985, he published a paper in the New England Journal of Medicine called Paleolithic Nutrition. His premise was that our genes determine our nutritional needs. So our genes are shaped, though, by our ancestors, and specifically like Paleolithic times, like way back in the day, like we have all of those same genetic makeups that they do. But many of the modern foods that we eat today are up against our actual genetic makeup. Like they don't line up with our genes on the inside. And most people, if you think about like paleo or you think about cavemen, there's a lot of pictures that probably come into your brain. But most people don't realize how healthy they were. Cavemen, Paleolithic ancestors, like all of that, they were actually very healthy. They were lean, they were fit, they were free from heart disease and all other diseases that are plaguing us in America currently from our lifestyle choices. So many people assume that they probably, they were poor, like it was gross, like they had a short lifespan, they were full of disease. But when they look at historical and anthropological, like so looking at their bones, looking at their tissues, studying them, they were actually recorded as one of the healthiest people. Like the medical evidence showed that their body fat, their aerobic fitness, their blood cholesterol, their blood pressure, and insulin metabolism were always superior to those of us as average Americans today. If they compared paleo ancestors to like today, it would be equivalent to a modern day healthy trained athlete. So think about an Olympian was like a Paleolithic ancestor. Tons of them everywhere. This is how they ate back in the day. And that's what they're comparing their health to as a modern day trained athlete. So when it comes to our DNA, our genetic makeup, they've actually shown that our genes in humans have hardly changed since then. To be very specific, they found that our genomes have changed less than 0.02% in 40,000 years. So this means that the genetic makeup of the Paleolithic people is virtually identical to our own. So this means that our genes are well adapted to live in a lifestyle like a paleo diet. It means that things should be hunted, they should be fished, they should be gathered from all of our natural environment everywhere. But that world doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist unless you have a farm on your yard and you go out and you get it. Like it doesn't exist anymore. So we need to give our bodies the foods that we were originally created for. So on a paleo diet, you are going to eat things that are full of, there are tons of nutrient-dense foods as vegetables, fruits, lean meats, seafoods, but you're going to eliminate, and we're going to talk about this in just a second. So all while you're going to eliminate any inflammatory foods or foods that are not good for our genetic makeup. So grains, dairy, refined sugars, refined oils, and any processed foods. So the focus, lean protein, fruits, and vegetables. This was not created as a weight loss diet at all. But will that happen? Yes, most likely. If that is your goal, paleo is a great thing, but that is not where it was designed. It was actually meant to be a lifelong, long-term eating plan. It's our birthright. By going backwards, like in time, in your diet, you will actually be moving yourself forward into the birthright, into the genetic makeup of your body. Crazy, but awesome. But let's lay some ground rules really quick, okay? So these are going to be the rules, if you will, when it comes to paleo eating. It's kind of crazy that it needs to be rules because this is just what happened back in the day, but because we have supermarkets and grocery stores and fast food and all of this stuff that we have to lay some rules because out in the world, it doesn't support us. So all the lean meats, fish, and seafood that you can eat, all the fruits and non-starchy vegetables that you can eat, but no cereals, no legumes, no dairy products, and no processed foods. Here is an overview. If some of you are like, can you compare this to keto, or like how much and all that, if you like to monitor like MyFitnessPal, whatever it is, and you want to put in how much you should eat of things, this is a type of a diet where it's going to be moderate in fat intake, it's going to be higher in your protein intake, and then it's going to be moderate in your carbs. So fats, proteins, carbs, like that is where we want to focus, that is where we want to stay, and I'm going to go through each one of these individually in just a second. But in paleo, like there's calorie counting is not encouraged. So you can take and put calorie counting to the calorie counting to the side. Portion control is also not a part of paleo. They say just eat until you're full. That's good, right? Some of you are like, I overeat, I need to portion. But what the thing you're gonna see with paleo eating is that when you have real food, is like you don't have a tendency to overeat. Plus your body responds to it differently when it's healthy food and it's real food. You can eat as many carbs as you want as long as they are the healthy kind. So this is a little bit different, but we'll get into carbs here in just a minute. A little bit different than like keto, okay? So healthy fats, let's talk about what this means and what you want to do. All healthy fats, or excuse me, like all fats in general, so back up, all fats just in general cannot be lumped into one category, okay? They are not created equal at all. But the impact of what fats do to our blood cholesterol and the odds of developing heart disease if we are not taking this into consideration is enormous. So if we don't get healthy fats into our bodies and we're eating unhealthy fats, blood cholesterol, risk of heart disease goes way high. And so the problem here though, when it comes to, is it a fat, healthy fat? Is it an unhealthy fat? Is because it's very confusing. When it comes to like which fats should be. Like for one, like a lot of fats sound alike when you get down to the nitty gritty of it. So I want to go through that with you. So you have things like saturated fats, unsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. You have like omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s. Like, so you can see how it can get very confusing and you're like, I don't know which one to do. It's okay. So let's go. Unsaturated fats are good. They are healthy for you. Those are things like olive oil, nuts, avocados. They are known to lower your blood cholesterol and prevent your arteries from clogging. Those are unsaturated fats. Then you have saturated fats. So saturated fats are mostly bad, or unhealthy, if you will. They are found in meats and whole dairy products. They're also known to raise your cholesterol. Then you have polyunsaturated fats. These are kind of a mixed bag of things. This is where your omega-3s and omega-6s are. Some are beneficial, others are not. So for example, omega-3 is a polyunsaturated fat. These are the kinds of fats that are found in your fish oils. They are the healthy fats. They improve blood chemistry and they reduce your risk of many chronic diseases. But then you have omega-6s. Omega-6s are also polyunsaturated fats. They are found in vegetable oils, lots of baked goods, a lot of snack foods. They are not healthy if you eat too much of them. So the idea behind omega-3s and omega-6 is more the ratio. So you need more omega-3s, less omega-6s, but you still need some omega-6s, like there's part of it, but if we eat too much of them, then we go out of balance when it comes to the ratio, and that's where we start to see disease develop inside of the body. So people in the Paleolithic age, they ate a lot of those monounsaturated fats, but they also did eat saturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, but in moderation. So they also consumed way less of the omega-6s than we do because those are found in unhealthy fats, in processed foods and baked foods and all of that. So when it comes to those types of things, they ate way less of them and we eat way more of them. So, for example, olives, olive oil, avocados, avocado oil, macadamia oil, macadamia nuts, they're very good fats that you can put in salads, that you can put on top of things, but they're not ones that you really want to cook with. But they are a major source of those monounsaturated fats. But you can have things like coconut oil, clarified butter or ghee. So butter is a dairy product still, so it's not actually considered paleo, but you can see there, I think that's a thing of butter right there. And so it's a little bit of like some people in modern paleo, they say, oh, you can eat like a little bit of butter when it comes to that, but it's really considered dairy. So what I would suggest is to not use butter if you want to go straight paleo. But things like beef tallow, lard, duck fat, like they're also good, but beef and lamb tallow is a better choice like when it comes to like healthier fats. The best one, and this might surprise some of you or excite some of you, is that bone marrow is a well-known like food when it comes to Paleolithic times, paleo diet. It is a major source of those monounsaturated, good, healthy fats. So eating bone marrow is a really great thing when it comes to paleo. So let's get into some of like the meats and organ meats and fish and seafood, like the protein that is inside of the paleo diet. So you really do want to eat a good amount of protein on the diet. Like this includes any types of red meat. It includes poultry. It includes pork, eggs, organ meat, wild caught fish, shellfish. Like don't be scared to eat meats like in paleo, even though I was like saturated fats are like not good and they come from meat. Like what really happens in that is how it was prepared and how it was made. Like where does that source come from? Like if it's coming just straight from the farm of like Tyson or conventional meats, like I would not want to eat those. Like you really want to choose things that are pasture raised and grass fed. If you do that, then it's the saturated fat is way healthier. Your body responds to it. And there is way more omega-3s, which are the healthy fats that decrease inflammation inside of those kinds of meats. So that's one thing that like when it comes to paleo eating, it's like, they're just like, eat the lean meats, but it's like eat the grass-fed, pasture-raised, cage-free meats. Like eat those eggs, eat those kind of things, and stay just not just away from like 80-20, 90-10. Like go more towards the grass-feds. One short note about eggs. So Paleolithic, like our ancestors back in the day, they actually ate eggs seasonally because they weren't available all the time. And so the idea behind eggs and eating that is like, yes, great, good, but try to eat them maybe like every couple of days. Like then your body doesn't respond as like, because sometimes people can even be allergic to eggs and you can create this thing. So I would just suggest as a side note is eating eggs like every couple days just based off of our genetic code from the Paleolithic times. Now, eggs need to be pasture raised. You have higher amounts of omega-3s if they come from pasture raised chickens. But think about when you go to the store, like just look for the foods that you can hunt and gather at your supermarket, like things that you could do there. That is what you're looking for when you're eating paleo. Next, oh, I think I did a double. There we go. Okay. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, I want you to think of fruits and vegetables as like these disease-fighting fruits and vegetables. A major problem with other low-carb diets is that what they actually do when they promote fruits and vegetables is that they nearly eliminate all of them. Like think about keto. Like they basically put a blanket over all carbs and they say, limit them to 30 to 100 grams per day or less, like even less of carbs. And so that means that most fruits and vegetables are completely off limits to you because you'll go over in your count. And so in paleo, and even like when I think about it, like this is a mistake. Like long-term, that's a mistake. Maybe short-term, great. Long-term, that is a mistake. Like, they have antioxidants inside of them. They have phytochemicals inside of them. They have fiber inside of them. These are the most powerful allies that you have in any war when it comes to disease inside of your body. Cancer and osteoporosis included. They even did a research and studies, like scientists have found that people who ate the most fruits and vegetables had the greatest bone mineral densities and the strongest bones. But what about calcium, Dr. Cassie? Like, surely eating a lot of cheese can help prevent osteoporosis. That's what we've been told. Drink milk, eat cheese, has calcium, it's good for your bones. Well, the answer to that question about is cheese, what about that, all kind of that question, it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to take a minute so that I can explain why I would much rather you eat all of this and get rid of milk and dairy completely out of your diet. So the problem with osteoporosis is a calcium balance. So calcium in, calcium out. You may take in tons and tons of calcium, whether it's from vegetables and fruits, whether it's from milk and cheese, from fortified stuff. Like, you might take in a ton of calcium through a supplement, but you might lose it faster, way faster. And it's easy to actually fall out of calcium balance inside of our bodies. How you lose it, though, is determined on how alkaline or how acidic your body is. And so if your diet is high in levels of acid, you will lose more calcium in your urine. As opposed to if you had eaten more alkaline foods, you will retain and keep calcium inside of your body. And getting calcium from cheese isn't enough to offset your lack of that fruit or vegetable intake and its ability to alkalize your body. So when it comes to eating these fruits and vegetables, there is no limit when it comes to that. Eating generous amounts of fresh, frozen, not canned, fresh or frozen vegetables. You can eat them raw, you can eat them cooked, starchy, because you want non-starchy vegetables. So those are like sweet potatoes, yams. They're a great source of your body to be able to have those disease-fighting fruits and vegetables. When it comes to fruits, a side note, I would much rather you eat the ones that are lower on the glycemic index, which are like your blueberries, raspberries, Granny Smith apples. Like, those are lower on the glycemic index, but on the paleo diet, like, it is fair game for all fruits and vegetables. Let's talk about nuts and seeds. On the paleo diet, you're going to eat them in moderation. They're a great addition to eating paleo, but they do have a lot of fats. And the fats that I'm going to talk about in here, like we talked about the omega-6s and we talked about the omega-3s. Omega-6s aren't healthy for us, especially if they offset the ratio of omega-3. Right? So they need to be even across. And if omega-6s are too high, that creates too much inflammation inside of the body. But all nuts and seeds, except for walnuts and macadamia nuts, have high omega-6 to 3 ratios. So they're out of balance a little bit. This is why it's encouraged to eat them in small amounts. Remember, we still need the omega-6s. We still need them, but we don't need them to go out through the roof. So that's why it's in moderation. It would be like putting them on a salad here and there and not just indulging in all the nuts and having them as a meal. But they are part of paleo. So you can absolutely eat nuts and seeds. They are high in those monounsaturated fats. So they're known to like lower cholesterol. But they need to be done in moderation. Peanuts, however, are forbidden. That sounds harsh, but they are. They're a legume, and so they contain lectins and other anti-nutrients that can actually adversely affect your health, particularly if you have an autoimmune disorder. So if you're listening and have an autoimmune disorder, get rid of peanuts out of your diet. When you eat nuts and seeds, they need to be raw and unsalted. When in doubt, go for a walnut, raw walnuts, okay? Others just garnish on your salad, like I just said before. So let's talk about all the things that paleo says to cut out, okay? All cereal grains and legumes. So that includes wheat, rye, barley, oats, corn, brown rice, soy, peanuts, kidney beans, pinto beans, navy beans, black-eyed peas, green peas. The problem with those and with cereals, grains, wheat, and legumes is that they start to affect your insulin, because when you eat them, they break down into sugar, and so that can affect it. The question that I usually get with this one is like, well, what about fiber? Like, don't we need the fiber? Like, isn't there fiber in whole grains? Well, fruits, average fruits have twice as much fiber as whole grains. Non-starchy vegetables have 8 times more fiber than grains or legumes. Guess what actually has absolutely no fiber? Sugar. So sugar is part of no sugar, no processed foods. Sugar has absolutely no fiber in it whatsoever. It's an anti-nutrient. It has no nutrients in it at all. But the middle part, I'm going to get into sugar in just a second, but cut out all the vegetable oils, the hydrogenated oils, partially hydrogenated oils. This includes margarine, soybean oil, corn oil, peanut oil, canola oil, safflower oil, and sunflower oil. So you want to really keep your staples to olive oil, avocado oil, and then also you can have coconut oil as well. Eliminating any sugars, soft drinks, packaged sweets and juices, all fruit juices, like when it comes to that. Processed foods, a rule of thumb with that one is like if it's in a box, like don't eat it. Especially when it comes to like paleo, like you think about like they didn't have boxed foods back in the day. So like anything in a boxed food, like you really want to eliminate that. Because conventionally, like Whole Foods is a different story, and I'm going to talk about this in just a second, is that almost all processed foods, though, have a mix of 3 or 4 of some things. They either have a mix of sugar, some form of starch like a wheat, potatoes, corn, rice. There's some form of that, some unhealthy fat or oil. They probably have a dairy product in it because it might be cheesy. They have tons of like iodized salts and a ton of flavorings. And so when you eat that, like 3 or 4 of those ingredients inside of there is going to swing your blood sugar levels. It's going to throw everything off in the health department of your body. And so it's going to start to crumble your house from the inside out. The one thing about paleo is that honey is okay. I would recommend doing raw honey you can do that with paleo. A couple other things when it comes to nose, okay, is dairy. Eliminate all dairy products, any processed foods that are made with dairy. So that means butter, cheese, cream, yogurt, ice creamed stuff, milk, powdered milk, if you do that, frozen yogurt. Here's the thing. All the no's that I just told you, some of you are like, oh Lord. Just because these foods are not part of the paleo diet, it doesn't mean that you banish them from your life for forever, okay? But you really do need to try to avoid them most of the time. Like to think that, actually I'll usually only do dairy-free ice cream, like completely. But like to say I'm not gonna eat cake for my birthday ever again is a lie. To say I'm going to go on vacation and like be really super strict and like really on it, not eat cheese for the rest of my life, like that's not true. So I don't want you to think like there's an end all be all. There is a time though that we need to get rid of this completely from our diets to allow our bodies to be able to heal, but don't go into the mindset thinking that you have to banish all of this stuff for the rest of your entire life. Deal? Deal. So when it comes to supplements on the paleo diet, like when you eat foods that are genetically programmed for what you're supposed to have, like you don't really develop any like nutritional deficiency diseases. So there's a couple diseases. One's called pellagra, and it's a B3 or niacin deficiency, and then the body starts to shut down. You might know like rickets is a vitamin D deficiency in the body, and it causes the legs to bow out. There's one called beriberi. It's where you have a B1 deficiency and your body just goes into a disease process. So one of the things though that they have noticed is that those in the hunter and gatherer times, like they never developed any of those diseases, never. because they had all the nutrients that they needed. So nutrient deficiency diseases, they never, ever had or died from. So, however, that doesn't mean like eating genetically for your body, that doesn't mean that you don't like need supplements. Like you may choose, like we do, like we just to pump up our diet a little bit more, like to have a couple supplements. And when it comes to, I picked two that I thought, like, especially when it comes to if you're dead on eating paleo, some of the things that might, you might be deficient in. And I would consider supplementing with a vitamin D3, like except for any like fatty ocean fish, like there's very little vitamin D that is consumed in natural foods because you get it from the sun. There's plenty of artificially fortified foods that have been put vitamin D, E, A, and K inside of them, like milk. They fortify a lot of like butters and margarine, like with vitamin D. And the reason that they do that is because today, for the most part, getting sunlight in our life is a hit or miss. And this is why, to prevent rickets, so if you don't have enough vitamin D, like preventing rickets, that they've actually made processed foods like milk and margarine and fortified them with vitamin D. So the question really is whether or not you should take this is, do you get enough sun? And what is enough sun? So enough sun is about 15 to 20 minutes every day out in the sun. If you do that and you've had your vitamin D levels checked and they're normal, great. That is what I would do. I would love to do that. But I don't, and I can't, like a lot of times. So if you don't, you've now, because you're eating paleo, you've stopped eating margarine and you've stopped drinking milk, so there's no fortified vitamin D, you should supplement your diet with vitamin D. And not because I said so, like because your health really does depend on it. And they've done so many studies when it comes to a link between low vitamin D levels and cancers that can develop inside of our bodies. The higher vitamin D level that you have, the lower amount of cancers that you can have inside of your body. I recommend taking 5,000 to 10,000 IUs every day, especially when we're getting into the fall and winter months because the sun is just not there. It needs to be taken with a meal too because it's fat soluble. The other one that I'm going to suggest is an omega, AKA fish oil, if you will. The reason I'm going to recommend this is because some people, you just don't like fish or shellfish, no matter how it's prepared. And so if you're one of them, like I absolutely recommend that you take a daily fish oil. There's 2 active ingredients inside of especially the omega-3. And you can see why I would say that is because we're probably out of balance from omega-6s. So we got to bring that omega-3 up. But there's 2 ingredients. They're both fatty acids. One of them is EPA and the other one is DHA. And so those are the ones that you need that help actually give you the benefits of like your heart, your brain, your joints, like what you need for supporting your body that way. You take the max omega-3s that you see there, you take 1 per meal each day. And they've seen that regular fish oil supplementation will decrease your risk of cancer, heart disease, and even reduce some symptoms of autoimmune and inflammatory disorders. So those of you that are able to be in office for pickup, you can text our office right now. It's 615-927-4571. These are 15% off our featured products. If you listen and you know that you get discounts by listening, they're 10% off all other products, excluding any essential oils, coconut oil, eggs, or meat that we sell in the office. If, however, you don't live here and you would still like to purchase those supplements, you can click the link in the comments section and you can order those online. Unfortunately, I can't give you a discount for watching. I would love to be able to do that, but we're not able to do that on our website yet. So you'll have to pay full price for those, or you can come to Nashville and pick them up. It'll be great. So then I want to give you guys away something that is helpful for me. It's a paleo lifestyle food list. And so often we can go get stuck on what we can't have. And so what I did was I made a food list of the things that you can have. Nikki's going to put the link for you in the comments section of the webinar. If you're watching afterwards, you can go right into the comments. You can click that and you'll get sent right to the link for that for free for being on today. Here's some of my favorite websites and resources when it comes to like learning more. I think that's something very valuable, is like continuing to learn more about paleo. That's how I do it, is I just continue to learn. I continue to read. I continue to go to websites. I continue to go to podcasts. They're all way better at talking about paleo than me. But those are some of my favorite websites that you can also go to, or if you're a podcast listener, avail yourself to those. So here's where we're going to talk about those 4 things that are going to make sure that it sticks. Think about it, like changing any type of a habit that you've had for your whole life, it's going to be hard a little bit, and it's not going to be done overnight. So please do not expect this to happen overnight. It is a gradual process, but how you're going to make this stick and work is, number 1, what I love to call the addition rule. So instead of eliminating all the bad things that you've had and that you have in your home, I want you to add the good. So most people are overfed and very undernourished. And so we need to have those nutrients inside of our bodies. And by adding healthy foods, adding the things that you can have, you will start to become more nourished. And the way that this is going to be a great transition is when you're actually nourished in your body. You have to make sure, like when you're nourished, what I'm trying to say, actually, reverse. To make sure that you are nourished inside of your bodies, you have to make sure that you're having enough of the right foods. So adding enough of those right foods will start to help your body transition out of the unhealthy things. The other part of why I love the addition rule is, like, have you ever noticed if someone says that you can't have something, or like you're told like you have to just give it up, like you almost feel like this instant attachment to be like, what do you mean I can't have it? Like, I can totally have it. Like, yes, I can have it. And you want it almost even more than when you didn't before. That's what I think about when you just focus on what you can't have and people say that you can't have it. Like, there's these patterns that happen inside of our brains, and we want to go back to what's comfortable. We want to go back to what we've always done. We want to go back to those things instead of changing the new ones, because you're creating a new habit. But if you're nourished, if you have enough of the right foods, it makes it easier. So how do you do that? The addition rule starts with stocking up your refrigerator and your pantry with all the things that you can have. So getting that list, printing it off, putting those things on your grocery list, putting them into your refrigerator, into your pantry, and then you have access to it and you don't feel like you're deprived. The second thing that's going to help is this chart right here. Guess what? Temptation's coming. You are going to want some pizza. You are going to want some ice cream. You have ate oatmeal for the last decade of your life every morning. You eat chips to comfort yourself. You eat a sandwich every day. And so what I've done here is created replacements for you. So when you want something with pizza, like at minimum, like if you're going out for pizza, like you can order gluten-free crust, and depending on where you're going, you actually might even be able to have cauliflower crust. So looking at those supplements at home, you can make almond flour. Like, you see how there's very much a replacement, thankfully, nowadays, of when you want something or a craving happens, you can choose a healthier version and a healthier option. And that's what we do. Like, if I want a bag of chips, like, I'm going for Siete chips or the grain-free Paleo Puffs. And that's what I'm gonna eat. We have some Paleo Puffs in our cupboard right now. Yesterday we had burritos made with Siete burritos, that are grain-free, and we had Siete chips. And if you want cheese, I meant to add this. Siete has like cashew cheese, and there is nut cheeses. Moderation, remember, moderation, moderation, moderation. This isn't part of your staple diet of just eating cauliflower crust pizza and bread. But if you have the Align Your Health book, like if you're a patient, we gave you an Align Your Health book when you very first started. There's a ton of bread recipes inside of there that are considered paleo. And there's also paleo bread that you can buy. It is expensive. It is $10.99. But we get it every now and then because I'm just like, gosh, I just really want a piece of bread, but I really don't want to make any bread. So I'm just going to buy it. I'm just going to have it part of our budget and cut the rest of it. Because sometimes it just happens. For rice or pasta, there is plenty of options: cauliflower rice, broccoli rice, zucchini pasta. You can make anything like sweet potatoes into pasta. You can make a beet into pasta. Lentils are considered a legume, so lentil pasta, black bean pastas aren't considered paleo, but there's plenty of other options that you can have. So if you haven't screenshotted this or written it down, make sure that you get that. You'll need it. Number 3, meal planning and prepping. Some of you already know that this is it, because when you've meal planned and prepped, it worked and you did a great job, but it wasn't sustainable for you. I actually really enjoy meal planning and prepping. It's like one of my favorite things I look forward to every single week. I love it. I can't wait for it because it's exciting. So if it needs to be exciting or you need to make it exciting, I believe in you and I think you can do it. Nikki is putting a link there about getting the meal plan and meal prep that you see right here. So you don't have to take a screenshot of it. You can just click it and print it off. This is my meal plan and meal prep guide for you. Okay, so start there. I see this as a lifelong practice of mine. I don't ever feel like I'm going to stop meal planning or meal prepping. I think it's individualized too, which I love, and you can make it your own. Which is really fun. And then the last thing that's going to help make this stick is moving. The connection between diet and exercise is it's quite remarkable when you look at the research and science from it. When it comes to exercising, like any form of movement is a good thing. Your diet is going to emphasize your exercise. Like exercise is an important part of living healthy, maintaining weight, losing weight, like it's part of it. So considering moving and getting with Nikki if you need to do a fitness consult. She'll do it for free so that you can see what's the best movement for you. But it might look like walking. It might look like running. If that's what you love to do it. Paleo is really associated a lot with CrossFitters. Because they do a lot of functional movement. That's what Dr. Michael and I do. Like you might join a gym or you might be a part of a class or do a group fitness class, but move. It's going to help you stay successful when it comes to eating. And then lastly, the only thing I want to let you know is that there really is like a number 5. It's to plug in. So I want you to be updated on what is coming up next. We have the Fearless Immunity Masterclass coming up. I'm so excited for this because of 2 things. One, we need this now more than ever when it comes to boosting our natural immunity. Like how do we make sure, because we're getting into flu season, we've got corona, we've got all this stuff. So we want to be able to help make sure that you know how to strengthen your natural defenses so that you can really feel fearless. Like there has to be no fear attached to that. So we're doing that Saturday, October 24th. The second thing I'm excited about is that it is in person and online. So if you want to come and you've been dying to like come back to an actual in-person workshop, we are going to do it right here in our office. It's a little bit longer of a workshop. It's 9 to 12, but we want to do this big masterclass of making sure that you have everything that you need in order to have a fearless immune system inside of your body. And then the last thing coming up in October is Friends and Family Day. You know we love to celebrate Friends and Family Day. We'd love to honor your friends and family by also helping our community. So on this day, anyone that's never been checked in our office and their spine and their nervous system gets a complete consultation, a complete exam, and any necessary x-rays that we need to take. It's usually $100, but it's discounted to $40, and that $40 goes directly to the Wild Indigo program. We love this program. I had to write a nutrition tip for this program here in just a second and send it on over. But it's a prison program that we love to help with the women that are incarcerated in the nonprofit. Nikki and I help when Corona wasn't here, but we're doing everything that we can to support them financially as well. If you want to connect with us outside of here, you can connect with us on Instagram or our podcast at Major Family Chiro. And the health majors, you can go to those as well. All right, I'm just checking comments here. Hi, Teresa, if you're still watching. Hi, Caitlin. Love it. The windows are great, aren't they, Paige? Good, Teresa. Hi, Alan. Hey, Mal. Okay, there's no questions on here, so I just want to say thank you guys for everything. If you have any questions, though, please reach out. We'd love to be able to help you get those freebies. And then if you commented, I will enter your name into winning the Whole Foods. Hi, Sonia. Just in time. I love it. We're doing the Whole Foods gift card, so I'm going to put all of your names in there. And then stay tuned. If you're the winner, it'll get delivered right to your mailbox. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.